Armageddon. The entire premise relies on the idea that it is easier to train oil drillers to be astronauts than to teach astronauts how to drill. NASA discovers an asteroid the size of Texas will hit Earth in 18 days. Instead of training astronauts to use drilling equipment, they recruit Harry Stamper's roughneck oil crew. The drillers are sent into space after only 12 days of training, while real astronauts train for years just to handle zero gravity and basic operations. Ben Affleck, who plays A.J. Frost, explicitly mocked this in the DVD commentary. According to Affleck, he asked director Michael Bay, "Why is it easier to train oil drillers to become astronauts than it was to train astronauts to become oil drillers?" Bay's response was to tell him to shut the fuck up. This is the gold standard of dumb but awesome movie logic. It highlights how Michael Bay prioritizes blue-collar heroism over scientific reality, creating a plot hole so obvious the lead actor ridiculed it on the official release. Face Off. An FBI agent and a terrorist swap faces using a procedure that is surgically impossible and scientifically nonsensical. FBI agent Sean Archer undergoes surgery to look like terrorist Castor Troy. The surgery involves removing the entire face, including skin and cartilage, and placing it on another skull. The movie glosses over skull shape, bone structure, and eye spacing differences between John Travolta and Nicolas Cage. They use a laser to trace the face and lift it off like a mask. Voice modulation is handled by a microchip implanted in the throat, which somehow perfectly mimics the other person's vocal cords instantly. The recovery time is non-existent, as they wake up ready to fight almost immediately after major transplant surgery. In reality, face transplants require years of recovery and carry significant rejection risks. Face Off is a masterpiece of high-concept action, where the audience must accept a ludicrous premise to get to the incredible acting duality. It turns a medical impossibility into a plot device for an identity thriller. The Matrix. The machines use humans as batteries, which violates the laws of thermodynamics and makes less sense than the concept fans often wish was true. Morpheus explains that machines enslave humans to use their bioelectricity and body heat as a power source. According to the laws of thermodynamics, you cannot get more energy out of a system than you put in. Keeping humans alive by feeding them would cost more energy than they produce. A popular urban legend claims the Wachowskis originally intended humans to be used as processors, creating a neural network to expand the machine's computing power, but executives forced the change. While this specific studio interference story is debated, the processor concept was actually used by Neil Gaiman in his official short story, Goliath, because he felt it made more sense. Switching to batteries turned a hard sci-fi concept into soft fantasy science. This is one of the most famous plot holes in sci-fi history. The movie is intelligent in every other way, from philosophy to technology, but the central motivation for the villains is scientifically broken. Signs. An advanced alien species invades a planet covered in the one substance that burns their skin like acid: water. The aliens are capable of interstellar travel and have advanced camouflage. They choose to invade Earth, which is approximately 71% water. They run naked through cornfields covered in dew and do not wear protective suits or armor. The twist reveals the aliens are defeated by glasses of tap water left around the house. Fans argue they are demons, not aliens, which is supported by a holy water interpretation, but the film presents them as biological entities hurt by moisture. It ruins the menace of the villains. If a rainstorm can wipe out your invasion fleet, you are bad at planning. A Quiet Place. The Abbott family struggles to live in silence, even though they know a location where they can make noise safely. Lee takes his son to a nearby waterfall and explains that the rushing water masks their voices, allowing them to shout safely. The plot hole is obvious. Why not live at the waterfall? They live in a farmhouse that requires sand paths, silent walking, and soundproof basements. Living near the constant noise source would provide a permanent shield against the sound-sensitive aliens. Instead, they risk their lives daily in a quiet house just a short hike away. It creates artificial tension. The solution to their problem, a sound-masked safe zone, is shown to the audience, making their refusal to move there frustrating. Independence Day. Jeff Goldblum defeats an advanced alien civilization by uploading a computer virus from a 1990s Macintosh PowerBook. David Levinson connects his Mac laptop to the alien mothership's console and uploads a virus that disables their global shield network. This implies alien operating systems are compatible with Mac OS. A deleted scene explains that our modern computing is based on the Roswell crash ship, making them compatible, but this was cut from the theatrical release. It's the ultimate hacker magic trope. The idea that alien code interfaces with a consumer laptop via a simple cable is laughable but iconic. The deleted scene defense fixes the hole, but since it wasn't in the movie, the plot remains dumb. The Dark Knight Rises. The entire Gotham City Police Department gets trapped in the sewers for months and emerges clean-shaven and ready to fight. Commissioner Gordon sends almost the entire police force, over 3,000 officers, underground to flush out Bane. Bane blows the tunnel entrances, trapping them all. They remain trapped for months, stated as 3 months in dialogue, though the timeline suggests 5. Bane's men feed them, but hygiene and sanitation would be a nightmare. When Batman frees them, they emerge with clean uniforms and no beards. They immediately charge machine gun nests with batons and fists. It turns the police force into a plot device rather than people. Strategically, sending everyone underground was dumb. Emerging, fighting fit, after months of sewer living is impossible. The Lost World, Jurassic Park. A ship arrives in San Diego with the crew slaughtered, but the T-Rex is still locked inside the cargo hold. The SS Venture crashes into the dock with the crew dead. We see a severed hand on the wheel and bodies mauled. When they check the cargo hold, the T-Rex is still locked inside. The plot hole is glaring. How did the T-Rex kill the crew on the bridge and deck if it was locked downstairs? A deleted script concept involved velociraptors sneaking on board, killing the crew, and then escaping or dying, but this was cut. The final film implies the T-Rex did it, which is physically impossible given the small rooms and locked doors. It's a continuity ghost. The setup involving raptors was removed, but the payoff of a dead crew remained, leaving a mystery that makes no logical sense. The specific visual of the hand on the wheel confirms this impossibility, as a T-Rex couldn't fit in the bridge cabin to bite that hand. Taken 2. Brian Mills finds his location by having his daughter throw grenades randomly around a populated city. Brian is kidnapped and blindfolded in Istanbul. He calls his daughter Kim on a mini-phone and instructs her to go to the hotel roof and throw live grenades in different directions. He listens for the explosions to triangulate his position based on the time delay of the sound. Kim throws multiple grenades into a crowded city without looking where they land. No police or emergency services respond to the multiple explosions. It escalates special skills into domestic terrorism. The collateral damage potential is ignored for a cool sound physics trick. By the way, if you're enjoying this type of breakdown, I create videos like this all the time. I'd really appreciate if you subscribed. Pacific Rim. The giant robot, Gypsy Danger, possesses a sword capable of cutting monsters in half, but forgets to use it until the very end. Gypsy Danger fights the kaiju Otachi in space and high altitude. After exhausting other weapons, Mako Mori reveals they have a chain sword. They deploy the sword and instantly slice the kaiju in half. Raleigh, the pilot, asks, "Why didn't you tell me we had that?" The official reason given is that it's a last resort to avoid spilling toxic kaiju blood, known as kaiju blue. However, they used plasma cannons and fists that smashed the alien continuously before this, which also spills blood. It's a classic finishing move trope, where the heroes struggle artificially when they have an insta-kill weapon. Prometheus. 2 expert scientists get lost in a cave they just mapped and try to pet an alien cobra. Fifield, a geologist, and Milburn, a biologist, are part of an elite scientific mission. Fifield has pup drones that map the entire cave system in 3 dimensions. Despite having the map, they get lost and are stranded overnight. Milburn sees a hissing, snake-like alien rising from black goo. Instead of backing away, he coos at it and tries to touch it like a puppy. The alien breaks his arm and kills him. These are supposed to be the smartest people in their fields, yet they act like horror movie teenagers. It undermines the film's intellectual tone. The fact that Fifield made the map and still got lost makes it even more absurd. Wonder Woman, 1984. The heartwarming reunion of Diana and Steve Trevor relies on the horrifying theft of an innocent man's body. Diana wishes for Steve Trevor to return, and the Dreamstone puts Steve's consciousness into the body of a random, handsome man, as he's credited. Steve takes full control while the host's consciousness is suppressed. Diana sleeps with Steve, who is in this stranger's body. They put the body in danger, fighting tanks and explosions. At the end, Steve leaves, and the man wakes up with no memory, having been violated and endangered for days. The movie treats this as romantic, never addressing the consent violation. This is a moral plot hole. The hero commits a violation akin to body snatching, but the film frames it as a tragic romance. It turned audiences against the character and is often cited as the reason the movie failed with fans. Its accidental villainy presented as a baffling creative choice. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Rey finds an ancient Sith dagger that functions as a map by lining up perfectly with the wreckage of the Death Star. Rey finds the blade of Ochi with coordinates to the Death Star wreckage. She stands on a specific cliff on Kef Bir and holds up the dagger. Its jagged edge lines up perfectly with the silhouette of the Death Star ruins. The Death Star crashed 30 years ago in rough seas. The wreckage would have shifted, eroded, or collapsed over decades. For the dagger, an ancient artifact, to match the 30-year-old wreckage implies the dagger was made after the crash or is magical GPS. It's video game logic in a movie, a stand on X spot to solve puzzle scenario. It ignores physics like erosion and gravity for a visual gimmick. If she stood 10 feet to the left, the map wouldn't work. Superman, 1978. Superman saves Lois Lane by flying around the Earth so fast he reverses its rotation, which somehow turns back time. Lois Lane dies in an earthquake. Superman flies around the Earth at super speed. The Earth stops spinning and begins spinning backward. Time literally rewinds, shown by a dam unbreaking. The physics flaw is obvious. Spinning the Earth backward would not reverse time. It would just cause global mega tsunamis and fling everyone into space at 1,000 miles per hour due to inertia. Even in comic logic, this power of time travel via speed removes all stakes for future movies. It confuses time with the clock. Just because the hands of the clock, the Earth, go back doesn't mean time does. Ant-Man. Hank Pym claims his particles reduce space between atoms without changing mass, yet he carries a tank in his pocket. The movie's rule states that Pym particles shrink items by reducing atomic distance, but mass remains the same. This is the explanation for why Ant-Man punches hard. However, Hank Pym carries a real T-34 tank on a keychain. If mass is conserved, that keychain should weigh 30 tons. Scott Lang also carries the shrunk Pym building like a suitcase. Marvel breaks its own hard magic system for a gag. You can't have heavy punches and light keychains simultaneously. Limitless. The smartest man in the world decides to borrow money from a loan shark to start day trading. Eddie Mora takes NZT-48, giving him super intelligence. He needs capital to play the stock market. Instead of using his super brain to gamble by counting cards or win a lottery to get clean seed money, He borrows from a Russian loan shark. This single dumb decision creates the entire conflict of the movie. It's a smart character making a dumb decision trope. A super genius would foresee the risk of entanglement with organized crime. Toy Story. Buzz Lightyear genuinely believes he is a space ranger, not a toy, yet he still freezes when humans enter the room. Buzz insists he is a space ranger, crash-landed on a strange planet. He denies being a toy, telling Woody, "You are a sad, strange little man." However, whenever Andy walks in, Buzz drops to the floor and goes limp, just like the other toys. If he doesn't think he's a toy, why does he follow the toy rules? It's the fundamental paradox of the character: instinct versus belief. War of the Worlds, 2005. The aliens buried their war machines on Earth millions of years ago, but didn't check if the air was safe before invading. The movie reveals the tripods were buried beneath the Earth long before the invasion. The aliens come down via lightning to pilot them, and are defeated by common Earth bacteria like the flu or cold. The plot hole is stark. If they were here millions of years ago to bury the ships, they would have encountered Earth's biosphere. They had eons to study the planet and develop a vaccine, yet they invade naked. It makes an advanced species look incompetent. Planning an invasion for 1,000,000 years, but forgetting a flu shot is the ultimate oversight. If you found this worth your time, subscribe so you catch every new upload. Thanks for watching.